Hello there! Right here we got the very first 1.19 snapshot for the Java edition. This is Deep Dark Experimental Snapshot 1. Just like 1.18, they came out with experimental snapshots before coming out with the normal ones. So stuff that we see in here could change before the full release. We got a lot to go over, including new enchantments and the Warden. So make sure you leave a like on the video as well as subscribe because it really helps out. Now let's get right into it. So first off is the Deep Dark biome. That's currently where I'm standing in. And here we can naturally find the Skulk blocks, which are the blocks that produce XPs if you break them down. You also can find the Skulk veins, which are the ones that are produced around the edges of the Skulk blocks. We also have the Skulk sensor itself, which can be activated by vibrations and other things, which will cause a redstone signal. The Skulk catalyst block is able to turn any mob that dies near it by any means, not just player means, and takes the XPs off of it and will convert the nearby natural blocks into Skulk blocks as well as the Skulk veins. And Silk Touch works on each of these blocks so you can get all of them in survival and move them around. By breaking the Skulk blocks down will give you back the XPs, but the veins will not. They also re-added the Skulk sensor into the creative menu, as well as all of the other blocks, and they're currently here in the redstone tab. Now if you break the actual sensor without using Silk Touch, it will give you XPs now. And using non-Silk Touch on the catalyst will give you XPs, where the Shrieker will just be destroyed, and the veins will also get destroyed. These Skulk blocks also have special properties that if you place wool blocks on top of them, they will still send signals out to the sensors nearby. Notice that it's different than if you place wool blocks anywhere else, which makes it more difficult to deactivate the Shriekers. The veins are like lichen, where they can be placed on all 6 sides of a block, which can be used to make new textures on previous block types. And the veins can be waterlogged. The Skulk Shrieker can only be activated if there is a Skulk sensor nearby or if you accidentally hop on it yourself. So making any noise near the Shrieker will obviously send off these special noises, and you can get the Warden to get summoned from this. And it's kind of crazy, it just kind of like pops right out of the ground and is ready to attack the player. Now the Shrieker is similar to the Skulk sensor, where when stuff nearby activates it, can give you the darkness effect. So if we just give ourselves the actual effect of darkness, you can see what happens. It really shrinks your viewing distance. And without night vision, it's almost like impossible to see around you, making it really easy for the Warden to sneak up and attack you. But this effect does go away and is typically given to you by the Shrieker or the Warden itself. With the darkness effect, you can place in light sources to help a little bit, but you can see how the darkness actually pulses. It gets really dark at times. This spawn egg here is also the Warden spawn egg, and you see we can summon him in. Currently, you can see he is very narrow. Despite him looking kind of wide like the Iron Golem, he's not actually wide at all. You can see they can also dig themselves back into the ground, and then all of a sudden they just vanish. Very, very creepy. If we go ahead and kill a Warden, you can see it drops some XP, but doesn't drop any items. And I did use a looting sword. The Warden itself has 500 health, making it the most of any mob in the game. The Warden also has a special value called Last Disturbance Value, which is probably used to determine when the Warden actually digs back into the ground. So it definitely seems that the Warden is just going to be a super annoying monster that's going to come out of the deep dark biomes anytime you come near a Shrieker. You can avoid putting off vibrations by sneaking, as well as walking on wool or by putting wool around these sensors. Now you'll notice that there's no other mobs that actually spawn in the deep dark besides the Warden. But you can find the ancient city structures here. We got one right here. You can see this thing is actually quite large. These only spawn in the deep dark biomes, and they're made out of different variations of the deep slate blocks. You can also find wool in these corridors here, which lets you avoid activating the shriek sensors. You also can find chests here, which have unique loot, including the new Swift Sneak enchanted book. This book comes in levels 1 through 3, and you can put the enchantments onto boots. Once you place these boots onto your character, it's now possible to walk normal speed while still in the crouch mode. And this enchantment can only be obtained from looting ancient cities. But this enchantment cannot be combined with Soul Speed or Frostwalker or Depth Strider. So you'll need to carry a special pair just for sneaking about. Obviously, this new enchantment is for being able to stay away from the Warden by moving really fast while also not being able to activate any Skulk sensors or Shriekers. There's quite a few chests in here. You can see we also get like bones, candles, snowballs, healing 2 potions, a lot of different types of Skulk blocks, as well as different enchanted books. Now it does seem like it's it's possible to get more than one warden activated if you go to different areas where there is shriekers. In these big cities, you can also find redstone lamps, candles, small water pools, soul lanterns, basalt blocks, soul soil, as well as soul sand and soul fire. But the biggest anticipation was this weird new block, which is actually called reinforced deep slate, and you cannot actually obtain this block in survival. And they refer to this new block as a mysterious block, but it definitely appears that it's some kind of portal that will eventually be lit to potentially take players to a different location. These reinforced deep slates are placed here in the center of the ancient city, and underneath of it is all the soul fires, which is kind of strange. And there's these little pockets of air underneath of it as well. Let me know in the comments what you think this reinforced deep slate is going to be used for. Definitely has some characteristics which kind of reminds you of bones, which some of the other sculk blocks also have. They do sort of have the same noise as the bone block. Here's the bone block. And above the redstone lanterns are sculk blocks, which are water logs, so they don't actually put off any signals. But from some angles, they do put off signals to the neighboring ones, which activate the redstone lamps. Maybe the redstone lamps lighting up has to do something with this portal. Now, I did mention there is a couple known issues to do with the ancient cities, and that is sometimes aquifers can intersect the city, as well as the actual city can go outside of the deep dark biome. But no mobs can actually spawn inside of the city. Now, they did say they want the warden to kind of be like an annoying mob that's in the ancient cities. So it's unlikely for it to actually give you anything too useful. It's more just annoy the player, keep him on his toes and constantly moving. But you can see without the night vision, it's extremely dark here. And the warden is trying to come after me, and like it makes it so difficult to try to traverse this area. And the warden's able to smell the player besides hearing him. Let's see what happens if the warden actually attacks me. So I just got pushed right into, oh, he did his attack. Now it don't matter where I hide, he'll be able to get to me. It doesn't look like he wants to go across the water. But he is definitely catching up. See how strong he is. Okay, pretty much just one hit me. Now the darkness effect can be changed by using this accessibility setting right here, where it says controls how dark the darkness effect gets when a warden or skulk shrieker gives it to you. But it will not affect the actual fog distance. So let's go ahead and turn that off. You can see we still get the darkness effect, but it's a lot bigger. So if it's too dark, you can always change this. Now the faster the warden's heart beats means the closer it's getting to finding the player. And if the warden doesn't notice you or gets angry after 30 seconds, it'll go back into the ground, essentially vanishing. The warden also will get angry if you send it 2 projectile vibration within 5 seconds of one another. But projectiles are useful if you use them sparingly to kind of fool the warden to thinking that you're in a place where you're not. So this warden's running over there. The warden also knocked down any shields that the player is holding up. Let's drop a whole bunch of mobs and they will die near this catalyst down here and see what we get. See, we got a bunch of the skulk blocks. We also got the veins, and we got skulk sensors. So those are renewable. As it converts over the blocks, you can see it puts off the particles, kind of like little water drips. And these bubble charges that are produced will go randomly outwards until they find a valid location to convert over into the skulk blocks. And they can spread out really far in some cases. Over here, it spread all the way down here, and you can see that it actually produced a skulk shrieker here. But it seems quite rare, as most of it is the skulk blocks, and sometimes you also got the sensors. The value of this bubble charge is directly proportional to the amount of XP from the perished mob that has dropped. And each time block is converted into a skulk, it will remove 1 from the value from that charge. So something like a Ravager, which produces quite a few XP, you can see there's a lot more bubbles here. They also said that this charge in the skulk as well as veins will eventually decay, but it will decay much slower in the close vicinity of the skulk catalyst and much faster the farther away it gets from it. They also say if the charge gets decayed at least 4 blocks away from the actual catalyst, it has a chance of growing in a skulk sensor or a skulk shrieker. Different charges and their values also merge when they move to the same position. As you guys know, I actually designed a skulk block in vein farm already, but it looks like the farm will also be able to produce the skulk sensors as well as the shriekers. You can learn about it by watching this video here, which I'll link down below. Now even here on the surface, we can activate the skulk sensors, but they'll put off a different noise. Kind of like saying that it failed to actually summon in a warden. There's a lot of cool things to test with the warden as well as these skulk blocks. So if you have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. If you'd like to play in this experimental snapshot, you will have to download this experimental snapshot with the Minecraft page that I put in the description. Now come join my Twitch live stream as we mess around with all these new features. And you can join me on my testing server here that you can learn about on my Discord. If you'd like to see how I designed a farm for every item in the game Minecraft, check out this playlist or this playlist where I obtained 99% of all items in the game starting on just a single block. I'm really excited for 1.19. I hope you guys are as well. Thanks for leaving a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in my Twitch stream. Bye-bye!